Welcome to the second episode of the Fashion Framework series. Today's episode is Becoming Your Brand. How are you all?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I just knocked into our camera. We have some guests online with us. Let's go ahead. I know most of you were here for our first episode, but let's just do a little recap of who we are. Sam, would you introduce yourself?
I'm Sam.
Hi, Sam. Sam, what brings you here today?
I am just a huge fan of yours. Personally, I followed your work since the beginning of our relationship, so a few years ago. And I just want to become my own brand.
Excellent. Excellent. Go ahead.
I am Genesis Gomez. I am here for all the support and to learn how to better become my brand.
Okay. Genesis, can you tell me a little something of what you're hoping to get out of tonight so that I can make sure that I'm hitting your needs?
Yeah, I need to be able to share what I'm currently doing and what I can do better with all of the myriad of things that I do. And so that would be something that I could get out of it. How can I better brand and set myself apart from the rest of the competition?
Okay. Genesis brings something really important and interesting to the table. Yes, I am a fashion designer, and what I specifically come to the table with and talk about is fashion design. However, these principles that we're talking about and these thoughts and things that we're talking about today and that we talked about in our last episode are things that can be applied to any creative endeavor. They're not things that are solely fashion related, and they're not specific to fashion, even though I tend to talk about it from a fashion perspective. So thank you so much for bringing that to the table.
You're very welcome.
Yes.
I'm Jordan, and I'm just here to pick your brain about fashion design. I'm really excited about starting that and making my own brand and finishing a lot of projects that I've started and actually completing it into a full outfit.
Okay. So what I'm hearing from you, Jordan, and it's great to see you again, what I'm hearing from you is that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm hearing that coming up with the ideas and the idea generation is not the thing that holds you back. No. The thing that's holding you back is the being able to take it to completion and seeing it through. Okay. So this series is designed and implemented to take you from start to finish. And it will be something that you will need to see through from episode 1 through episode 12 in order to be able to do that, taking a project from start to finish. Again, we're specifically focused on fashion because that's what we do, but this is a process that could fit a myriad of different topics. Makeup, painting, yes, exactly. Great.
Hi, I'm Madison. I'm a Gemini, and I'm here today to kind of two different things, to really build my personal brand, to get to market myself to future jobs better, because I'm starting to look at some jobs. And I also want to learn about making a Etsy shop for upcycled clothing.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. I actually taught a class this morning on upcycling, and we went to the thrift store, and oh my God, you're going to love the sweater I found. I like that you started with you're a Gemini. When you say that, what are you communicating to me? When you start with your astrological sign, what are you communicating to me?
That I'm really fun and outgoing.
Okay.
And it's just something to set me apart and to be funny, honestly.
Okay. So it's something, because it did catch my attention. And it did, when you introduced yourself with that, I did perk up. And I did notice that it was something, interesting and different and new. We're going to talk a lot today about what we're communicating to our audience and what it is that our audience is hearing from the words that we say and from the captions that we use. We're going to talk a lot today about what we think the meaning is behind what we're doing and what others are perceiving as our meaning. So there is sometimes a disconnect between what we think we're saying in our branding and what others are hearing in our branding. Yes?
I wanted to follow up and ask you if you like long walks on the beach.
One of my favorite things.
I'm a Capricorn. And one of the things about me is that Capricorns are extremely logical, and we don't do anything just to do it. There's a reason behind everything that we do. However, I assume that you all understand my reasoning. I assume that you all know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I've had to come to realize that just because it's logical to me doesn't mean it's logical to you. And it's something that I've had to actually learn and stop myself and really communicate to people that I assume you understand my logic. So if there's any time tonight or in any of these series that any of you are starting to say, what's the logic behind that? Trust me, I've thought it through. I have analyzed it until there is no more analyzing. And there is a reason behind everything that I present to you. If there's any time that you want to stop me and ask me what that reason is, I'm perfectly happy to explain it and to give you the background. But one of the things I like about my character, and also one of the things that I have to work on, is that I like that I'm always logical, and I'm working on making sure that I'm communicating my logic. I wish that I always thought to communicate that right away. So thank you for bringing that to the table, because you brought a new and different idea here. Go ahead.
Hi, Darlene. I'm Ollie, and I'm here because I'm a young professional who's building my brand. So I'm here to get advice and, pro tips from you. I'm still kind of figuring out what my brand is.
Okay. So nice to see you again, Ollie. Always a pleasure. I like that you are willing to be open and thoughtful in the process, and that you're thinking about what that brand might be and what that brand might bring to you and who you are. Because it does take us a while to find who we are, right? And our brand is not something that we can just pull out of the air. It is something that we have to consider, right? And it is something that we have to think about.
Oh, sorry, I also had a question.
Yes, Blessing?
When you were saying about how there can sometimes be a disconnect on what other people see your brand is, can you expand more on that?
Oh, that's an excellent question. So Blessing just asked us what the disconnect between others, what others see in our brand and what we see in our brand. Let me pull an example and see if this might explain some of it. My favorite color is purple. Sam, what does the color purple say to you?
Royalty.
Okay. Royalty and passion. Okay. Genesis, when you hear the color purple, what do you think?
I think about my niece
Okay.
and the innocence that she had and just the fun that she brought to the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're having a personal connection. What are you thinking about when I say purple?
Relaxing, lavenders, soaking.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, Blessings, did you hear that we had a very different concept here? Sam thought of passion and Jordan thought of relaxation. Passion and relaxation, while they're not opposites, don't necessarily sit in the same place. When we're passionate about something, that's not the time that we're typically relaxing, right? So the two of you are reacting to the same exact word in distinctly personal ways, right? There's no right or wrong when it comes to communication. There's no purple means this, right? It's what we connect to it that is important, and it's how we feel about it that's important. So, Blessings, the disconnect there might be that when I think of purple, I think of beauty and abundance and royalty. And my thought process in that color might be different than what Jordan would take from what I'm saying.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, good. I'm glad that worked. Oh, and Blessings, let's have you introduce yourselves and tell us why you want to be here.
Yeah, sure. Hold on. If I can get my camera, I'll try.
Okay.
I don't know why it's not working.
That's
But
okay.
Unfortunately, my camera is not working. But, so my name is Blessing, and I'm currently a senior in high school, and I saw Darlene's page because I actually was looking at the Crown Fashion Show, and it really interested me. And I saw that you were taking your Fashion Framework series. So right now, I'm just honestly absorbing all your knowledge and I really just want to get into like fashion design. So yeah.
Okay. So you're here to just sort of get a concept and a feeling of what the process is like and what the development is like, and just sort of see an overview?
Exactly.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Great. Sam, I know I put you on the spot. Is there something that you would, and I know that being the first one up is not always the easiest, is there something that you'd like to add or something specific you want me to address tonight?
I guess one of the main reasons I'm excited to be here is because I don't know my brand.
Okay.
I have no clue, and I'm hoping that this gives me the inspiration to realize more of it.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I'm just trying to find out who I am through the process of watching others find who they are.
That's actually incredibly insightful and extremely profound. That we do sometimes find ourselves in observing how others find themselves, and that the process of observation is what helps us dig deeper into who we are. Wow, that was profound. I'm going to sit with that for just a second before I move on because okay, these two we're going to have to separate. I'm not going to concentrate all night long. There is something important about understanding our brand and understanding who we are and how our brand translates into our services and our products. And, you know, we do feel, I shouldn't say we, I should say that I have had the experience where my professional face and the face that I put on when I'm walking into a classroom or into a business meeting, if I am not connecting that to my authentic self, then it is less impactful in business. And when I can connect that to my authentic self, then my brand has more power. I have personally experienced that. Who we are in business and who we are in our daily lives does have differences. I mean, we're not on all the time. I'm beginning to learn that I have a lot more introvert than I think I do because I need that down time and that down energy, you know, to revive and refresh. But who we are in our professional world and in our public world has to connect to who we are personally, but it can be different. It doesn't have to, we don't have to be on all the time. And our brand is always on, right? Our brand is always shining. Our brand is always up. We're not always up. We're not always shining. We're not always face first. You know, sometimes we need that downtime. And it's okay to connect our brand to that. Okay. So what we're going to talk today is brand and brand identity. We're going to talk about what developing a brand is and how to develop that identity and how to communicate that identity. We're going to talk about communicating our brand and understanding how we can use visual images to communicate who we are and what our brand is. And we're also going to talk a little bit about getting to know our customer and being able to connect with who our customer is. Because let's face it, we're not always going to be able to design for ourselves. Right? I'm not always going to be able to design. There's only one of me, and I'm not going to make enough money designing just for me, right? We need to be able to reach the needs of our customers because it is our customers that we're trying to serve, and we need to know who they are and to be able to reach them. Okay? So I want to talk a little bit about. I want to review a little bit about what we did in our first episode, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page, because some of the stuff that we did in our first episode is going to apply to what we do here. And I want us to think about some of that primary and secondary research that we did last time we met. Okay? Can anybody remember what primary and secondary research is? Anybody remembering those terms?
Primary is where you go to like museums and stuff.
Yes, primary is when you go to museums and you see the actual art yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
Secondary was where you look at what other people are doing and trends.
Secondary is looking at information that other people have gathered. right? And trend resources can be one of those places where other people have gathered the information and we're using it and looking at what other people have synthesized. And that can be really helpful, especially in trend forecasting, right? Because I, as an individual, do not have the capacity to travel the entire world 4 times a year, take photographs of everything, compile it all into some basic research, right? Being able to look at what other people are gathering and synthesizing can help me understand what's going on in places that I can't necessarily travel to but on my own. Right? Yes?
I'm so sorry. Wait. So you said secondary research is from other people? Is that what?
Yes, a secondary research is us looking at the information that other people have gathered.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes. Can anybody remember what we talked about when we talked about trend forecasting?
WGSN and the color of the year. And there's more.
There's more. There's 88,000 different trend services. WGSN is one of them, is an example of them. And Pantone is another one of those examples. And trend forecasting is when trend forecasting companies go out and they see what's happening everywhere and they look for similarities. So they go and take pictures of all the major runway shows and they see where there are similar ideas happening in multiple runway shows and compile that information to try and see what the trend going forward would be. Okay? Does anybody remember when we talked about environmental scanning? What we were talking about with environmental scanning?
Looking around your surroundings and finding inspiration.
Yeah, looking around and seeing what's around you. Because we take that information in, right? We look at our friends and their TikTok videos and we think, oh, I could do that. Or we see a really cool graffiti on the wall and we think, oh, that'd be a really fun color, right? And we don't necessarily always know we're doing it. You know, sometimes that just sort of settles in. We talked about our design voice. Does anybody remember what we talked about with design voice?
Kind of like what you want to portray when you design something.
Okay.
Theme, if you would.
The main theme or what I'm trying to express.
What your brand is about and what it stands for.
Mm-hmm. So for me, my design voice has been about embracing that everybody is beautiful, including me, right? My design voice has been about understanding that there is beauty and joy and vivacity in all of us. And that there is not, that all bodies are beautiful. And it's, my design voice has been about learning to appreciate what my body can do, right? It's also about sustainability. It's also about caring for our environment and those who are making my clothes. I want the clothes that are against my body to be made by hands that are happy. I want the earth to be treated well when I am gathering resources to make my clothes. I want to reduce my carbon footprint as much as I possibly can. That's my design voice, and that's what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say with what I do is that you are all beautiful, and you all deserve to experience that feeling of beauty. You all deserve to be at home in your skin. You deserve to be in this and to not have to feel separate from that. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay? When we talked about Zygist, does anybody remember what we talked about?
Like the
Oh, it's so close.
the vibe or like the voice of the year, like where everybody's going.
It is literally translated as spirit of the time.
Yes.
Yes. And this, when we talk about Zygist, we're talking about as a community, as a culture, as a group, what is it that we are all experiencing? What is it that we are all feeling? What is the mood that is happening in all of us at the same time? And for the past 2 years, it's been pretty big, right? We've all been going through that roller coaster together, and it's something that we are all feeling, right? Any questions Any questions about what we talked about last time, or how, any review questions you want to think about before we move on? No? Okay. This is all important, particularly because that inspiration and that research that we did last time we met is stuff that you're going to use today. And when we start working on I'm going to throw out some design ideas for you. And when we start working on those design ideas, I want you to bring up, if you have a photograph or the board that you created last time, I want you to bring that up, because I want you to look at those visual images later in our session today when we start looking at that. Okay? Okay. And there we go. So what is a brand? I mean, we can see the definition here from Beyond Design. We can see what the definition is, but what is a brand?
When I think of a brand, I can notice it by the colors. So, for instance, McDonald's has a very specific yellow and red combination that when I see those, whether or not their logo is attached to it, I will think of that particular company.
And what you're talking about is the image. Okay, absolutely, yes. Anyone else?
It's like a level of quality that you can expect from a product.
Okay.
Also what the product is. You know, not everyone sells everything.
Right.
So you get an idea of what you're buying.
Right. So if I throw out the word Starbucks, what are you thinking?
Coffee from the mermaid, green-tailed.
Okay,
you know.
right. When we throw out McDonald's, what are you thinking?
I think my stomach's gonna hurt.
French fries. Good. So when we're thinking about brand, we're not just thinking about the image. Image is part of it, but we're not just thinking about the visual image, but also the emotional image. We're also thinking about what we associate with it. We're thinking about, you know, I think about McDonald's and I think about my dad taking all of his grandkids to McDonald's to play on the slide and give them French fries. Like, that's what I think about when I think about the playtime and the, you know, my dad loved the dipped ice cream cones. You know, that's what I think about. You know, it's that connection that we have to the image. It's the feeling that we have to the product. It's the concept that we have, that all of it, not just the visual, but the emotional, the expectation of quality. I'm not going to McDonald's for a 5-star meal. I'm not planning on sitting there in the dining room for 2 hours having lovely conversation. That's not why I go to McDonald's, right? I go to McDonald's to let the kids run around and be crazy and make lots of yelling noises and to think about my dad, right? So it's the quality, the visual, the emotion, the concept. Did you have a question, Jordan?
I was just saying, able to recognize a brand immediately without having an instant thought about it. Like, it's a passive recognition of something that you don't even know.
And that's what we're striving for, is to have people passively recognize who we are just by seeing our image. That's what we're striving for.
And I guess that's what I was getting at earlier with the coloring. For me,
Yes.
you don't even have to have the logo associated with it to see that very specific color yellow, that very specific color red next to each other to think, oh, that looks like
That's McDonald's, right. And you're having that passive reaction to that color combination that's pulling you into the double arches.
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. So there's a little bit of terminology that I want us all to be on the same page with, so that when I'm throwing out words, we all are using the same information. Brand equity. What does that word mean to you?
How much the brand means to you.
How much the brand means to you?
Which one?
What am I willing to spend on it,
Yeah.
right? How much does it mean to me? How far out of my way am I willing to drive to get that thing?
Oh, yeah.
You know? I wasn't going to go 3 blocks out of my way today to get the coffee that I really wanted on my way here. I stopped at the 7-Eleven and got the gas station thing, right? How much does the thing mean to you? You know, are you willing to drive out of your way? Are you willing to spend more money? Are you willing to park the car and get out of the car to go into the store to buy the thing? Or does it have to be a drive-through? Right? So the value is not necessarily, the value is the financial implication, but it's also those other things, the time investment, the energy investment. Okay?
I think of like what are those bags that Cardi B has? The bags, no, the Birkin bags, and everybody wants them, and they're so expensive, and they're not even all that much, but everybody has to have them.
Right.
Because they're Birkin bags.
Right, right. And that is a brand equity and a brand name that I'm going to spend more money on because the name means something to me.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say.
Yes. Okay, so when I talk about brand image, what am I talking about when I'm talking about brand image?
Like how the general public sees what the company wants to represent themselves as.
Excellent. How the general public sees what the company is representing themselves as. Can you guys think of when I say Coach, what is the image that comes to your mind?
Expensive purses.
Expensive purses.
The C's.
The C's. You see this? You are so visual.
I'm a very visual person.
It reminds me of Paige because Paige, I don't even know when, it was a couple years ago, but she was like, yeah, Coach purses are the most luxurious purses. And ever since then, I hear Coach, I'm like, oh, you mean the most
Luxurious person. So your assumption is that the purse is going to be luxurious when I say the word. Anybody else?
Dependable.
Dependable.
I've had a Coach purse for years.
Yes.
And it has gotten me through everything.
Right? I have one that I've had for at least 20 years, and it is the one that I carry every day. Right? If I throw out the word Starbucks. Expensive.
long lines.
Long lines.
Mobile ordering.
Mobile ordering. I think warm, fuzzy juiciness.
I think of her mom.
Okay. But you have a personal connection to it. Yes, Blessings.
I was just gonna add on when you said like think of Starbucks, I just think of the mermaid like logo like that.
Yeah.
It's just like ingrained in my head. So I see what you mean about like brand and image. It really does matter.
Yeah. Can anybody think of a brand image that you don't? Oh, maybe I shouldn't put this on camera.
There's a couple of things I've said that I'm like,
Like one that, you know, I'm not going to put that on camera.
I want to say Kanye est.
You know, there's like brands that I think of and I'm like, oh, do I have to go in there?
Yes.
You know, there are brands that I think of and I'm like, oh, I don't want to give them my money.
right.
Right?
And it's a necessity because of X, Y, and Z reason.
Right.
That you have to go in there because maybe they monopolize the market. And that's
Right.
what you have to do.
Right. And I can still have like, I'm going to avoid this as much as possible. Like, right. And, you know, I've worked with a lot of these brands and have been in those moments where I'm like, that company did not treat me well when I went to go sell to them. Therefore, I do not want to buy from them because I have that association of that poor service that I got.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So when I say branding, what do I mean by branding?
How do I take my idea and almost put it into a verb that people can use to help me make my project?
Okay, so how do I take what I'm trying to say and put it into a verb so that it is recognizable to the general public?
Yes.
Okay. What are the things that I do to make my product stand out? Okay. So I wanted to make sure that we had some general communication and some terminology so that we could all be on the same page. Okay? Any questions about any of this? take a look at this. What do you guys see?
Crown.
Okay.
Your initials.
Okay. When you see the crown, what do you think of?
I think of royalty.
Okay.
Quality.
Royalty and quality. Okay, why does a crown say quality?
Crown says quality because it just, to me, a royal isn't going to, when you think of royalty, you don't think of them just kind of being sloppy. You don't think of them in a way where they're gonna have like mustard from a McDonald's hamburger on there. Let's just go back around, right?
No.
I guess, I don't know, it's really stuck in my head right now. I might be hungry. But you don't think of sloppy. You think of somebody that's just very pristine and doesn't want holes in their clothes, doesn't want something dirty. They want something that they can wear that they're going to feel good in.
So they're exacting. Their quality specifications are high and their standards are high. Okay. Okay. What do gems communicate to you?
Feeling really good about myself and wanting to know that I can step out and feel confident in what I'm wearing, and that I have that extra little thing on me that's just like, this is special, this is sparkly, and this is mine. This is
Okay.
individual to me.
This
Like,
is
other people can have gems, but this one is mine.
okay. So you're seeing, I deserve this. This one is mine. This is sparkly. This is special. I'm going to have that. And in a way, is that also saying to you that you are special, and that you are sparkly? Okay. Okay.
She knows me so well.
Ladies, anything to add?
It's definitely something used to distinguish someone from among other people. So it's kind of like saying that your clothes will distinguish the wearer from others in the crowd in a really good way.
Okay. Can I tell you guys a little bit about what is behind this for me? So for me, the crown does distinguish royalty. And what I'm looking at when I'm looking at that royalty is that ability and that authority to make decisions for myself. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking about my own personal agency. That I am not just going with the crowd. I am not allowing others to tell me what it is that I am meant to do. I am stepping out into my own authority and into my own decisiveness and my own decision-making ability, and I am accepting that. One of the phrases that I like to use is, I'm not a princess. I don't need saving. I'm a queen. I've got this handled. And that's what the crown has meant to me. I am a queen. I am not a princess. You know, I have walked in my own skin and been in my own body long enough to know that this decision-making power is mine. And that's where I went with the crown. The gems were, for me, the gems are a natural beauty that is polished and shaped by human experience. We take these gems out of the ground, we take these stones, any random stone, and we polish it and we smooth it and we shine it, and it becomes something special and something unique. And it is that experience that we have in the world that turns us from just a stone on the ground to something special. That's what the gems were saying when I was putting together this logo. The earth is a plentiful thing, and not only does the earth give us abundance and the things that we need daily to survive, but it also gives us beauty, and it gives us specialness, and it gives us the rare gemstone. But the rare gemstone is really the ordinary that has been polished and shaped by human experience. That is what the rare gemstone is. It's just a regular rock that somebody picked up and shined up. So my initials were important to me to put in here because I wanted to connect to my brand in a personal way. I wanted my brand to be personal and true to who I am. The C is my mother's initial, Carol. My middle name is Carol. My mother's name was Carolyn, and I'm the youngest of 7. There are 6 girls in my family. And when my parents were naming me, my dad said, well, Carolyn, we don't have a little girl named after you. I want a Darlene Carol baby girl. And so I got the C from my mother, and she was so passionate, and she was so vivacious, and she was so just loved living. My dad, the Ritz, the last name, my dad was stoic, but you always knew he loved you. He was that calm, constant, graceful, dignified energy that always had love behind it. I like to hold on to my first name, Darling, because I like being darling. I like being special and different and beautiful. And it was really important to me to have my initials because it was really important to me to connect to my brand on a personal basis. Studios was actually my son who, you know, it's so important to me that my son is in here because he's what keeps me grounded, and he helps me live in the day-to-day, in the everyday, in the not thinking about 5 years from now, not thinking about 5 years ago, but living in today. And the idea behind Studios is that it implies creativity and design and art, but it is vague enough to apply to any medium. DCR Studios could be jewelry, it could be photography, it could be paintings, it could be graphic design, and it can also be fashion. So that's why the Studios was important to me. I want you all to take a few minutes and think about what is it that you want to say to your consumers. Okay, so take out your notepads and write a few things about what is it that you want to say to your consumers. Let's just take a minute to write that down. Give me like a quick 5 bullet points. Okay? Don't get too crazy about this, just the first 5 things that jump to your mind. What do you want to say to your consumers? If you've got your first 5 quick bullet points, the first 5 things that jump to your mind, then I want you to just really, really quickly look at those 5 things on your page and think if you can think of something visual that represents those 5 things, one at a time. So visually, what does the first one look like? So Ollie, I'm going to start on your side this time and work my way that way. Give me your 5 things you want to say to your consumer.
Okay, my big one was peculiar.
Okay.
With purposeful, intelligent, graceful, and cool.
Peculiar, purposeful, intelligent, graceful, and cool. Okay. Sam, when you hear the word peculiar, what do you think?
Like off-putting, but in an interesting way.
Okay.
Something you don't see every day.
So how do we do, when you hear peculiar and cool in the same list, what do you think?
Like finding a really cool trinket at a thrift store, something that you'll probably never find again and that nobody else can have because you found it.
Okay. Okay. Jordan, give us a visual image for peculiar.
I think of dark and occult and like metaphysical stores, tarot cards, crows, ravens, witches, familiars,
Okay.
that side of things, activity.
Okay. Genesis, when you think cool, think of an image for cool.
I mean, I think of, this is stupid, but I think of somebody bundled up in the snow. I mean,
Okay.
that's what
immediately came to my mind. But if I'm thinking cool in the way of being cool, stop. Not Sam right now.
But if I'm thinking of cool in the way of being cool,
I think of like the popular kids in school, you know, the people that everybody kind of looks up to and admires.
Okay.
This is a really great exercise to throw an idea out to someone and have them give you their feedback on it without you explaining anything. Because when you do that, you're getting their natural, immediate reaction. If you explain to them what you mean by cool, then you're getting their filter reaction. But if I just say, you know, what do you think of cool? And the phrase I get back is bundled up in the snow, then I have to think, okay, maybe I need to wordsmith that in order to have that talk more about, you know, being, hey, I'm cool, I'm a cool cat. You know what I mean? If that's the idea that I'm trying to do, right? So give me your 5 images.
I did not get as many down as I wanted to, but I got kind of fixated on glasses because they are my brand. I've been wearing them since I was in 2nd grade.
Okay.
I'm doing something cool with my glasses. I like the mystical too, kind of something along those lines. And then like a cityscape type dealio.
Okay.
But
Did you hear the explanation that you gave us?
yes.
So you were setting the stage for the people around you rather than just throwing out the concept and seeing what they gave you back. So what you're doing is you're establishing the thought process and laying the groundwork. Whereas if we just throw out cityscape, what do you feel when I say cityscape? New York skyline?
Yeah.
The hustle and bustle.
Hustle and bustle? Yeah. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Okay. I really like to do this exercise because I want to find out what my consumer is feeling. And I really like to just throw out some ideas and see what the consumer gives back to me without giving any explanation. That's why I love bullet points when I am doing this development because, you know, I had you guys look at the logo and I had you tell me what you saw in the logo. And in a lot of ways, what I was trying to communicate with the logo and what you were giving me back was very similar. What Jordan was talking about with the gems was very similar. What Genesis was talking about with the crown was very similar. You obviously picked up on the initials because you and I have that connection, you know. So, and you gave me something completely new, and I love the fact that the C was the emphasis for you because my mother is the center of my heart. But being able to throw it out without explanation, without, you know, trying to give background, without saying this is going to sound really dumb, but just throwing it out allows people to give you immediate feedback and immediate reaction so that you can see it through their eyes. When we do the explanation, we're asking them to see it through our eyes. But if we just throw it out and let them give it back to us, then we see what they say. And you know, when someone says, "What do you think of this?" and you just give them your gut reaction, then that person is getting the honest reaction of someone who is not familiar with the thing. So giving your honest reaction without your own, you know, qualifier is going to help that person understand, okay, this is what people see when they look at this. Okay? So I'm going to encourage all of you as you're developing your brand and as you're developing your concepts, I'm going to encourage you to think about trying to get honest feedback and trying to give honest feedback without qualifiers. Okay? That's something that is really going to make your brand development so much stronger. All right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the elements and principles of design. The elements and principles of design are something that you hear a lot of in the design and arts. there's 88,000 different lists. Some people say there are 7, some people say there are 8, some people say there are 12. I personally like these particular 7 because I think that anything else that we're talking about can fit into these 7. But you will find that other people use a different list. This is just the one that I go with. So when I'm talking about proportion, I'm talking about the scale of the elements next to each other. Some are bigger, some are smaller. What is the proportion of the elements that I'm looking at next to each other? When I talk about rhythm, I'm talking about how does my eye flow across the visual plane. When I'm looking at some sort of something and my eye is going across it, that is the rhythm that I'm establishing. When I'm talking about balance, I'm talking about the negative and positive space and how I'm balancing the blankness versus the where things are written and drawn. Sam hit on that a little bit when you talked about the elegance of the black and white of the DCR Studios logo, that was the balance of the white negative space and the black line space. When we talk about emphasis, we talk about, where does the eye automatically go on that plane? Ollie talked about how her eye went automatically to the sea. Genesis' eye went first to the crown. Okay, where does our eye automatically go in the thing that we're looking at? Okay, and then in shape, in fashion, we might refer to shape as silhouette, okay, but it's the rectangle, the triangle, the circle. I missed line. Line is all about, am I going on a diagonal line? Am I going on a straight line? Am I staggering? And then color, we all know about the color wheel, right? Our 3 primary colors are yellow, blue, and red, and then we have our complementary colors and we have our contrast colors, and color is one of the things that we as human beings react to most quickly, but it is also culturally driven. Red, what do you feel? Angry. Lucky. I was gonna say. Okay. That is actually cultural. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think passion. Mm-hmm. Okay. Blue.
I actually think power, but I have changed. I have changed to lucky just because of who I've been around.
Yeah.
So I think that was important to say.
Yeah.
You can start off having this color, make this reaction, but then later after you've hung out with some people, then it can change.
It changes. Excellent. Blessings, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I was gonna say when you mentioned the color red, love can also be something that's
Love?
associated with it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, red does denote love. And I see that in combination with passion. When I say blue. Huh? Water. Calm. Okay. Yellow.
Energetic.
Right? But we can see how we all have an emotional reaction to that, right? Color is one of the things that affects us most emotionally, but it is also something that is culturally diverse. Okay, so I want you guys to think about this as we start to move in to Okay, the PowerPoint's not coming up on the screen, which is fine. But I wanted to take a look at some of these logos, and I wanted to talk about some of these logos. So, does everybody know what this logo is? Spotify. Okay, immediately recognizable, right? It's 2 colors. It's green and white. It's 3 lines, but you knew it immediately, right? We talked about this one. There are no words in any of those logos. But can you name each and every one of those brands? Right? They're visually recognizable. They're clean. They're immediate. They're familiar. Right? Some of the best logos that we can have are the ones that are the simplest. And some of the, okay, come on. There we go. Some of the best logos we have are the ones that are the simplest, right? And some really complicated logos with crazy amounts of colors can be really pretty as artwork, but really hard to pick up right away. And also extremely expensive to print. Some things that we have to think of when we're talking about logos is we have to think about, what reaction am I going to get? Is this going to be visibly recognizable? Is there enough information in this logo? And also, how much is it going to cost me to print this on business cards? Am I going to be able to print this on business cards, or is there just too much on here for me to run it through a business card presentation? If I have this on a billboard on the highway and somebody's driving past, are they going to recognize it, or is it going to be so complex that it's not going to, it's just going to be a blip out of the corner of their eye, right? Those are some things that we have to talk about when we are talking about logos. So think about some logos that you're familiar with. Okay? Somebody throw out one. Chanel. What is it about Chanel that's so easy?
The double C's.
The double C's. Why is that so familiar to you?
It's all over the patterns. It's on the inside of it's in the lining. It's on big white on the outside. It's always a contrast of colors when they put it on the purses.
Uh-huh.
A black purse with a white logo. Or
Okay.
whatever to make it stand out more.
And when you see it, what do you feel?
High end.
Okay. And what does high end feel like?
Luxury.
Okay, but what does luxury, what emotion does that attach? What emotion do you attach to that?
Happiness.
Happiness?
Yes.
Okay.
Fresh purse, man.
Okay, so it's the giddy feeling
Yes.
of something new.
Yes.
Okay. I think of the season, I think of Chanel No. 5, and that scent is just so luxurious, and I just think of being carried away on jasmine. That's what I think of when I see the seas, just that floating experience. Other logos? Target, okay. What is it about what do you feel when you see the Target logo?
I feel, like overwhelmed because there's a lot of choices, but you always find what you need.
Okay. So you're feeling overwhelmed by choice, but you're also feeling comforted by expectation.
Yeah, like if I go to Target, they're gonna have whatever I need.
Okay. Okay. And am I wrong, or am I hearing comfort in that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's comforting, I would say.
Okay. Okay. Somebody throw one out. Another one.
Nike.
Huh?
Nike.
Nike. What do you feel?
I feel
Okay, but what is that feeling?
Motivated.
Motivated. Okay. I was thinking energetic, so I'm glad that I asked you to clarify because I would have assigned something else to that. Okay. Go ahead.
The L'Oreal lipsticks,
Uh-huh.
I always think about because my grandma used to always have them in their pocket, and she'd always be like, "Pass me my lipstick," and I'd know which one it was because it would have the
L'Oreal logo. Okay, but what does that feel like?
nostalgic.
Okay. Do you guys get where I'm going by the asking you how you feel as opposed to what do you think of? Because you all are giving me associations. As brand drivers, yes, we want association, but we also want emotion to be attached to that association. You know? We want to have a feeling there as well as the association, right? Because feeling and emotion causes consumers to react. That's what causes consumer behavior. Yeah.
Is that kind of like how I have Chanel perfume, and I always want that to be like my signature scent? Is that kind of?
Kind of. But why do you want it to be your signature scent?
Because it smells like what I want to be.
Okay,
But
so
I don't
what?
know what I want to smell like, so I hope if I smell good, then maybe I'll feel good.
Okay, so it's creating a positive association that's uplifting your mood.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel better when I spray my little fancy perfume on, and then I feel like I can do more things because I smell really nice.
That is very true. And what you're talking about there is not only the association of this gives me power because I don't know, I'm reading into it and tell me if I'm reading it wrong, but there is something joyful about being able to afford small luxuries.
Yeah.
There is something that gives us that step up when we can feel like I can give myself more than just the base need. I can give myself something that's more than just bare minimum.
Different when I wear my Chanel perfume versus when I'm wearing like my Victoria's Secret perfume.
Right.
Just like you feel a bit more like
Yeah.
Like,
But
I saved up for this and I put my hard money in it, and I want to smell like the kind of hard work that I put into getting this.
right. And it's a reminder of what you've accomplished and what you were able to do. Yeah. All right. Are you guys ready to sketch out some? Are you ready to sketch out some? You ready to sketch out some logos? So now what I want you all to do is let's take a few minutes to sketch out some logo ideas and sketch out some concepts on some visualizations of the emotion we're trying to create in our consumer. Jordan, tell me what you want to communicate to your consumer.
Well, my five were like, you're that it girl, Instagram ready, sustainability at the same time, but high-end quality, but you can still afford it and you don't have to be like broke after this.
Okay. So quality, high-end, accessible, sustainable.
Yes.
Okay.
And being that it girl, like Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B, SZA, like.
Okay. So what visual element says it girl?
So I'm going to say eyelashes. I'm going to say all the high-end makeup. I'm going to
Say it with the chest.
Yeah. Oscar de la Renta, like, you know.
Give me a visual. Give me an actual item.
Cardi B on the Grammys where she wore Theory Mugeller's outfit and he had the pearls and it was overflowing and she was like coming out of a clam.
Oh, I do know that dress.
Yes.
I don't know that dress. So, wait, no. I don't want you to look it up. Here's why this is important. That doesn't communicate anything to me.
Yes.
So what simply could you give me in a flash in 5 seconds that would communicate that to me?
Elegant pearls.
Pearls. That's the first visual you've given me. Pearls.
soft pink,
Okay.
but with contrast of black. Silhouette that's almost like a candle, like how candlesticks are, where they come up and they have the handle and they come outwards.
So candelabra,
Yes, thank you.
pearls, candelabra. Those are the visuals you've given me. Do you see what I'm getting at here?
Yeah.
Do you see why it's so important to have these conversations, particularly with people who may not necessarily know what you're talking about? Okay. Give me a few other visuals.
The red gems
Okay.
were like sewn on to a different one. Flames, for sure. Almost like refracting light off of the gems. So it's
Okay.
like that extra sparkle.
Okay. So how does that translate to the it girl?
Because when you walk on that runway and those cameras are flashing, every single flash is going to come off of that. Every single gemstone, every single glitter on your eyelash, all of it. From the nails to the shoes to the bracelets to the jewelry, there's going to be the flash.
Okay. How do I translate that into something that I can put on a business card?
That's what I've been trying. That's where I'm kind of getting stuck.
Okay.
That's what I've been kind of thinking. Because I was trying to think, how does Rihanna brand Fenty? How do we automatically assume that Fenty is Fenty with the giant F? But there's a simple F. That's nothing to it. But how do I don't know how to phrase what I'm saying just yet.
Okay. Sketch a candelabra for me and put some pearls on it and tell me what that does for you. Okay? Genesis, what is your brand? Give me your 5 words.
Well, I drew this for you. So it's like, but so the 5 I just wrote for my brand: you are empowered, you can live your dreams, you are not your past, you are beautiful, you can overcome.
Okay.
So overcome, beautiful, dreams, empowered would be the words, but the one you're not your past, I don't know how to make that into one word.
I get it. Moving forward. That's 2 words, but
Right, yeah.
what is a visual for empowered?
Rosie the Riveter.
Okay. What is a visual for beautiful?
The ocean.
Okay. What?
Overcome is mountains.
Okay.
You are not your past. I don't know why, but marathon runner.
Okay.
And then you can live your dreams is Times Square.
Okay. So, can you think of a simple way to visualize Times Square?
I think of, the simplest way I can think of would be that building with that building where you look at it on I'm sorry, I haven't slept in 3 days. The New Year's Eve when the ball drops.
Okay.
That building right there.
Times Square.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. But we're so it's that building, and it's the different billboards that are
Okay.
right there on that building, right? Like
So
that's
the corner building with the
corner
billboards.
building is the easiest way I could describe Times Square. Like everyone knows that building. It's
Okay.
an iconic building.
Okay. So part of what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get us to break through some of those I'm not an artist, I can't draw blocks. I'm trying to get us to break through some of those I can't come up with a logo because I'm not an artist blocks that sometimes happen to us. And I'm trying to get us to get really simplified in some of those elements and see if there's a way to maybe combine some of those visual elements into something that could speak about you?
So I can tell you the logo I've had in my head for a very long time
Okay.
that I cannot draw, but it's basically a silhouette. It would be pretty much me, like the silhouette of a woman with the hourglass shape that has like her computer and her Birkin bag and her heels and her but it's just, and it's simple. It's not colorful. It's not anything. It's just like a black and white of this person, this woman that is multifaceted and does these things. And that in my mind, when my clients will see that, they'll be like, oh, that's Genesis, that's her brand, she's going to help me to reach my goals and my dreams, and she's going to bring me along with her, and she's going to help empower me to find my way.
Okay. Can you give us just like a little outline of what she looks like on paper?
Yeah, I can try.
Okay. Here's the thing. We can know what we're trying to say. We can know what we're trying to say, but we may not necessarily have the skill and the background to draw it. And sometimes being able to just sort of give a rough sketch and go hire a graphic designer, right? Don't try to draw it yourself. Sketch it out so that you can communicate to the graphic designer, but don't try to sketch it out. Don't try to make it beautiful yourself. There are people that are pros in that and that want to do that. You know, and we got to get out of that head of judging our artwork. It's a communication tool. It doesn't have to be something we put on the wall. Yes, my love.
What if you don't know what you want to say?
So then write out just write out words. Just write out words. What do you want to say?
I can't think of anything not being like snarky.
So be snarky. For the first 5 minutes, be snarky. Be mean. Be unrealistic. When you're trying to get the thoughts out and when you're trying to figure it out, don't judge the thoughts that are coming up.
I guess I just don't know. I don't know what I want people to take from it. I don't know what I can get. I don't know what I can give.
Those are two different things. What people take and what you say are two different things. What do you want to say? If nobody were filtering it through their own worldview, if you could stand in the middle of Times Square or on the mountaintop and scream whatever it is you want to scream, and it doesn't matter what other people are saying or filtering or putting through their own worldview, what are the words that you would come out with? No judgment. What's the first word that comes to your head?
Well, I thought of a quote.
Okay.
It's kindness is forged in fire.
Okay, write that down. Kindness is forged in fire. Okay, what else? Why is kindness forged in fire? What does that say to you?
Because bad things are going to happen, but you can always come out of it kind. But I don't know what that...
Just write that whole word.
What did I say?
Just start writing. I don't know what I want to draw, just start drawing. You know what I mean? Like, that's how we break through creative block. You know, just start writing. Okay. Human experience is?
Vulnerable.
Okay. Vulnerability is?
It's not weakness.
Strength is.
Strength is keeping going.
Okay. Strength is resilience. Joy is.
Joy is meant to be shared.
Okay. Sharing is.
Sharing is caring. Sharing is letting someone in your heart.
Okay. Openness is.
Scary.
Okay. Getting past fear is.
Brave.
Do you see what I'm doing here? Is it helping?
Yeah.
What do you want your signature to mean? Is a different question than what do people see in your signature? Right? What do you want your signature to mean? How we doing over there?
Good. I have a couple of different options I'm
Okay.
working with. First one is just a thumbs up, but then I also have the option to add this bracelet onto it, which is Earth,
Okay.
because I'm positive and helping and assuring people that I'm going to do what I can to help them. And I also care about the Earth a lot, and I keep it close to my heart.
Okay.
And then I have this one, which is like hands offering. Because from one of my words, I said altruistic. And so my words were altruistic, sustainable, passionate, super cool idea, Madison, and caring/loving. So I tried to incorporate all of those into both of them. So this is me like giving help to the people of the planet that I love.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, oh, I was drawing like a bunch of a bunch of old discarded T-shirts turning into something. I don't know what yet though. And those are my logos. I like the thumbs up one.
So what you want to communicate, if I'm hearing you correctly, Madison, is altruism, giving back, caring for the planet. Am I on target? Okay. I'm reacting. I don't typically like to jump in with what I'm reacting to when I do these seminars because I want to see what you're feeling in it. And I know that, you know, as the person leading the seminar, if I say something, that's what's going to be considered the overall. And as soon as the leader of the seminar says it, then it becomes law. I'm going to back out of the seminar giver position for a minute and just talk to you as human to human, okay? I'm really reacting to the heart earth.
Oh,
just the heart earth, not the hands, just
the heart earth.
yes. And I'm really reacting to that because I'm seeing love for all of the abundance, the human and the material. I'm seeing the abundance and the joy and the love and the caring in just the heart with the earth in it. I kind of think that's brilliant.
Thanks.
And I kind of needed to tell you that, like, I'm really reacting to that. Like, it is really brilliant. Let's talk a little bit about target market, and let's get, I'm going to take us through this a little bit faster than I typically would, okay? Why do I define a target market?
So you can have a specific niche to sell your clothes.
Because I want to understand who's buying my stuff and why.
Yes.
I define a target market because I need to understand, if I'm going to talk to my consumer, I need to know who my consumer is. If I'm going to speak to an audience, I want to understand what that audience wants from me. You know, I started this session by asking you all what you wanted from this session, because if I'm going to speak to you and to reach to you, I need to understand what it is you want. Okay? And so that's why we talk about who our consumer is, why they buy from us, and what they want. Okay? There are some ways that we can find out about our consumers and what our consumers want. And we can do, there are a lot of different ways that we can do this research. We can do this research through surveys. You know, send out 50 surveys and say, what's your favorite article of clothing and why? You know, how many pairs of jeans do you own? You know, the surveys give us an understanding of what we can quantify the data on what our consumers are wearing and why they're wearing it and what they're wearing, okay, and what they need. Focus groups are a great way to get some feedback on what you're supplying and what your market wants. Gathering in a group of people and saying, what do you guys think of this? And letting them all talk about it without you prompting, just what do you think of this? Hearing what people have to say is a really great way to gather information. Getting a group of people together and saying, if you could go shopping, when you go shopping, what's the worst part of it? When you go shopping, what's the best part of it? What do you like when you go shopping? What don't you like when you go shopping? Right? It really helps us understand, like, I know that I have a really hard time finding jeans that can fit my waist and my booty at the same time, right? Finding something that fits the waist and the booty at the same time, really difficult, really difficult. Am I the only one who experiences that?
Nope.
Right? Now, if I get a focus group together and say, do y'all experience this? Like, if it's just me, go to a tailor. But if it's 88,000 other people, I got a product I can sell. You know what I mean? And that's what focus groups can help us do. Point of sale is really important because it kind of helps us understand when somebody's buying, oh, I see you got some blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah today. What made you think of that? Oh, why'd you pick this up? Oh, what was it behind that purchase? We get direct information from our consumer about why they're buying, what they're buying. I'm going to skip over data mining because that's a whole thing. But one of the most important things that we as fashion designers in particular that we can use in finding out what our consumers want is looking at what they bought. You know, my last collection, I put these 5 things out, what sold the most, okay? And that is one of the fastest and easiest and truest ways to understand what it is our consumers are reacting to, okay? What we can't understand from that is the why. Did they like it because of the silhouette? Did they like it because of the color? Did they like it because of the balance? Did they like it because of the emphasis? What was it about that thing that they really liked? But it does tell us what they liked. Okay? So traditionally, target markets are defined by demographics and psychographics. We list out the demographics, the things that can be measured: income, age, household size, geographic location, occupation. And those things are really helpful because, my sister and I have a very similar body shape, a very similar body size. We wear very different clothing. I'm a fashion designer. I'm all about mixing the patterns and being crazy and colorful. She's a mortgage banker. The most exciting thing, she wears fabulous shoes. But she's, tailored and conservative in her clothing. And it's we're same age range. She's got a very different income range than I do. Same geographic location, similar household size, but our occupations are very different, and therefore our clothing is very different. So that can be really helpful. That demographic information can be really helpful. And income is also really helpful because then we know how much our consumers have to spend on the product that we're offering. Like, if my target market is 100,000 or more per year, then I can make different design decisions than if my target market is 30,000 per year, right? The fabrics I'm going to choose are going to be different. The elements I'm going to choose are going to be different. The way that I put that together in production is going to be different. I need to know those things. Psychographics are really important because they tell us what our consumer likes to do, what our consumer spends time outside of work doing. It tells us about, what their leisure activities are. Right now my leisure activities are watching TV in my sweats. I don't need to go buy, best I'm going to do is a leisure suit. You know what I mean? Like, that helps us understand what our consumer needs clothing for. And this is the traditional way that target markets have been defined. Technology has changed the fashion industry and has changed the way that we look at how we sell apparel. And I'm talking specifically about apparel right now, but I can also look at other consumable goods. I can get on the internet right now and type in vintage shirt dress and and pop up with a bunch of different things, and I can choose my color, I can choose my style, I can choose. That information is right in my back pocket, right? It's in my purse. Like, I could sit if I'm stuck in a traffic jam somewhere, I can start shopping right there on my phone. I don't have to go out into the store and only see what they have available in that store. Back in the day, you had to go to the store, and unless you wanted to go from store to store to store, you were limited to what was in front of you at the time. But that is no longer the case. And because we're moving past this concept of you have to choose from what's available, which is a manufacturing push concept, we're moving into a market pull environment where the consumer is saying, nah, I don't like that, I'm going to get this. Or the consumer has all of the options at their fingertips at all times. And so we're relying a lot more on the consumer to tell us what they want, and we're having to fill those small niche markets a lot more quickly than we had to 20, 30 years ago. So we're starting to look at our consumers past the idea of the traditional target market, and as a fashion industry, we're starting to think about niche markets. I always say niche, and everybody yells at me, niche markets. When we're looking at niche markets, we're looking at smaller groups. We're looking at individual items, and we can really, get really specific on it. Because we're no longer limited to the consumer that's in our geographic area. We can post things on web stores, on Etsy, on websites, Instagrams, and they can be immediately available to everybody. So I'm no longer confined to my consumer being in one specific area. Therefore, if I offer something that is a small niche, I can get more consumers than I used to be able to do. Does that make sense? Okay. Like, let's say that I am a rockabilly designer, right? I can put that on the internet, and when people are searching rockabilly, they can find me. They don't have to go from store to store to store. I can pull up some of these things that are smaller needs because I can reach more people. I had a student several years ago that did sensory clothing because her sister was on the autism spectrum, and certain fabrics her sister couldn't wear, and they were always, and so she developed a line of sensory clothing for her sister so that her sister would have something comfortable and easy and adaptable. And there was a huge market for it. She wasn't required to sell only to her sister. And because she could put this on the internet, she was able to get a huge market for it. It was such a beautiful thing to watch happen. To see someone who had this very specific need, this very specific detail, and in the past it would have been so difficult for us to fill that need because making something for just one person is so expensive and so time consuming. But if we take that one thing and we make 500 of them, then it's less expensive and less time consuming. So these are just some ideas of some niche markets that are really fun to work with. Some other things that we're talking about that we're seeing a lot of in the fashion industry right now, and this whole we've been shut down for so long and we haven't been able to gather in groups thing has changed the way that we've been able to do manufacturing. Because we are no longer, because our supply chain has been disrupted, because we're no longer able to put a large group of people in a small space and have them sewing all day, and we're having to find new ways to do this. Some of the things that are exciting to me is that some of the large mass markets are shutting down, and we're seeing more independent designers, more micro designers coming to the forefront because our goods don't have to be 100 people in a small space sewing everything. We can do it with 5 people in a space and making 500 units instead of 100 people making 5 million units. And what it's offering is that we're in a place now where we can change fashion more quickly, but we can also offer more specialized items. And it's been actually a really good place for independent designers and micro designers. A small designer can take a bigger risk, like putting a feather cape down a runway. A big designer would have a hard time doing that. But it is more expensive. Let me give you an example. If I am designing my own fabric and I am burning screens so that I can print my design onto fabric, it costs me, I'm just pulling an example out of the air, let's say $500 to set up one screen. If my fabric's got 5 different colors on it, I have to set up 5 different screens, right? That's $2,500 before I've printed a single yard of fabric. If I'm only doing 25 pieces and I'm taking that $2,500 and spreading it out between 25 pieces, that's exorbitant. But if I'm taking that $2,500 and I'm spreading it out over 2,500 pieces, that's doable. That's economy of scale. And we are finding that, you know, and that has been why it's been more difficult to do these one-of-a-kind items, because the economy of scale makes it too expensive. Technology is helping us with that. I can now digitally print directly onto fabric, and it has more color fastness than it did 15 years ago. So I can print out 25 yards of fabric of an original print and not have it be exorbitant. There are things that are happening that make that easier, but there are things that will always be expensive in production. And we have to take that into account. And that's why most of our clothing is mass produced, because you can take those setup costs and spread it out between a lot of items. It's those setup costs that really make it expensive to do small lots. Okay, I took us through that really quickly. Does anybody have any questions on that part? Because I took us through that really fast. Okay. The important thing to know about that is get to know who your customer is, understand who it is you're trying to talk to, and really find a way to communicate with that person. Okay? Great.